Thank you, sir. We good on this end, Vanessa?
Yes.
Again, I apologize for starting late. Good morning to everybody and welcome. We will call to order this regular meeting of the Lawrence County Board of Commissioners. Today is Tuesday, November 19 of 2024, and we appreciate everybody joining us today. A couple of housekeeping items. We'll note for the record that the meeting is being live streamed and also being recorded. And we would request if you have any type of electronic communication device, if you please put it on vibrate or silent. We would appreciate your doing that. We always begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we would ask you to remain standing for a moment of silence. And Commissioner Kennedy, could you lead us in the pledge today?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you please remain standing, we'll have a moment of silence. Thank you all. Vanessa, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Sinata?
Here.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Here.
Commissioner Vogler?
Here, we do have a quorum. We always have time during our meeting for public comment. One will be in just a few moments, and then the second opportunity will be prior to adjourning the meeting. If you do have a comment, we ask that it be related to county government matters. And if you could try to limit your time to about 5 minutes or so, we would appreciate that. You're welcome to speak both times. You're welcome to speak one of the two times, or if you're just here to listen, that's equally fine. Did everybody get a copy of the agenda? I think there's some on the table. If anybody needs a copy of the agenda. And under item 2, we always set aside time for our row officers for their reports. Our controller, Mr. Prestipine, is here, I believe, for a bid opening, but over and above that, David, anything else for us today?
Nope.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us, David. I believe David's the only row officer we have here. So that'll open it to a public comment. If you do have a comment, we can recognize you if you just state your name for the record, and we'll hear what you have to say. Well, hearing none, once again, we'll do this before we adjourn as well, so thank you all. Under fiscal and contractual, we do have, this would be Roman numeral 4, number 1. We do have today a bid opening. This is a community development block grant project in the borough of Elwood City. Our county Department of Planning serves as the administrator of these programs. So Mr. Prestipine will be handling the bid opening, and Rebecca, I guess if we need to consult with you, you're here, but Mr. Prestipine handles the opening of these bids, which we've probably about a year or so ago converted to an electronic system. So David, are you able to tell us how many bids we received?
We received 2.
And I assume they were received in a timely manner?
Right.
Okay, I'll let you do what you need to do, David, please.
Okay, the 2 bids we got were from Fryer Excavating, which is in Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania, and M&B Services, which is in Clarendon, Pennsylvania. First one I'll open here is Fryer Excavating.
Oh, while David's doing that, forgive me, David. The purpose of the bid is for a project in the borough of Elwood City, which is an American Disabilities Act curb ramp improvement project in the borough. Do I have that right, Rebecca?
You do.
Thank you. David, I'm sorry.
Okay, Fryer Excavating, their total bid is $88,426.11. And M&B Services, their total bid is $114,899.79.
David, thank you. Generally, what we do is table the bids to allow the planning office time to review them and do whatever consultation they may need to do, whether it be with Mr. Prestipine's office or with engineers or whomever. So Rebecca, I'm assuming you do need that time.
We do.
Before I ask for a motion to table, though, I'll see if Mr. Sanada has any questions or comments. No. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Kennedy, anything you wish to talk about on this one?
What was that total?
Which one?
The one from Clarity? M&B.
114, 899, 79.
No, that's not a question I have.
Thank you, Dan. Well, you've heard the bids and the request from the planning office that we table them. I will note that, and Rebecca, you probably know this, that the board will not be meeting for another 2 weeks. We meet 2 weeks from today. So I hope that helps you with your time frame.
That work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, this would be, this relates back, I forgot to mention too, just enter it into the record, that the county did submit, or did have 2 legal advertisements relative to these bids on October 7th and October 14th, and this is as per previous resolution 2024-299. But for now, may I have a motion to table the bids, please?
I move we table the bids.
I'll second.
Thank you both. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes,
motion carries.
thank you. David, anything else for us?
Oh, that's it.
All right, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate your joining us. Take care. Thank you, Rebecca.
Mhm.
Next on our agenda, each week we receive from the county controller's office documents known as warrant registers, which are also called check reconciliation registers. And it's a listing of the bills that have been paid. These are dated November 8, 12, 13, 14, and 15. They are available if anybody wishes to take a look at them. And incidentally, Debbie, as usual, I have this information for you at the end of the meeting. But for my 2 colleagues, gentlemen, please take whatever time you need to look them over. And feel free to ask any questions, but if not, feel free to make a motion to accept these documents at your convenience.
I'll make a motion to accept these documents.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you both, and assuming there are no questions, I'll ask for a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes,
motion carries.
thank you. Next on our agenda, we have the minutes from the November 12 meeting in our packet. And for my fellow commissioners, please take a look at them, and whenever you're ready, I could entertain a motion for us to adopt the minutes.
I move we adopt the minutes.
I'll second.
Thank you both. If there are no questions, we'll ask Vanessa to call the roll, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes?
motion carries.
Thank you. Under written communications, we've received 2 documents since we last met. They go to the Planning Commission, and then we are forwarded copies of them. The first comes from RAR Engineering Group, which is based here in the city of Newcastle. This is providing the commissioners with this information relative to the Elwood Remelt Steel Company at the A-Space building expansion in the city of Newcastle. This is Act 14, 67, 68, and 127 notification. And it's advising us that RAR, on behalf of Elwood Remelt Steel, plans to apply to the Department of Environmental Protection for these various requirements. And again, they are listed in the letter. It is signed by Mr. Ben Rizzo, engineer. The second document comes from GAI Consultants out of Homestead, Pennsylvania. And it is on behalf of National Fuel Gas Supply Corporation. It is notification for Acts 14, 67, 68, and 127. The project description is that the National Fuel Gas Supply Corporation proposes what they refer to as Line N12 South Insertion Project, which would be located in the counties of Beaver, Lawrence, and Butler. Project involves approximately 9 miles of flex steel pipeline insertion and ancillary facilities along existing natural gas line N12, starting in Franklin Township, Beaver County, and concluding in Muddy Creek Township, Butler County. But as that line progresses, as I mentioned, starts in Franklin Township, Beaver, it goes through Perry Township of Lawrence County, and then again, it concludes in Muddy Creek Township in Butler County. And this document is signed by Robin Weissert, Environmental Manager for GAI Consultants on behalf of National Fuel Gas Supply Corporation. Gentlemen, these are the two documents we have. Are there any concerns, Chris?
No.
Mr. Kennedy, anything? May I have a motion for us to accept them, please?
I'll make that.
I'll second.
Thank you both. If there are no other concerns, we can take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you, Vanessa. Next on the agenda are commissioner reports and comments, and today, Commissioner Kennedy, you're on first.
I really have nothing to go. I know we did a couple of things, Chris and I, over the weekend, but we went to dyslexia. Yeah. Nice, but, that's really about all we did. Lacey, he did a couple other things. That's all I did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan, very much. And let's see, next is Commissioner Sanada.
I'll just emphasize, Mr. Kenny and I both attended the Alexia event on Saturday night at the Scottish Rite Cathedral. It was a nice event for a good cause, and I know this is their second annual for that. They've been actually doing that up at the cathedral for 25 years, they told us that night. And that provides for the region, not just Lawrence County, but all Western Pennsylvania region. So just commend them, for what they're doing there. Before I went there, I actually went out and represented both Dan's and myself out at the Westfield Church. They had their community ribbon cutting openings Saturday night at 4. And it's a nice, beautiful facility they put out there. It's going to be nice for the Mohawk community. It's a pretty big facility, holds hundreds of people, and that's really a very active church out there in North Beaver Township. Pastor Griffith, he stopped up here and invited all three of us. So, and I got the opportunity to represent all of us, and I thought it went very well, and wish them the best out there in North Beaver. It's a very active group. So that was pretty much my Saturday. I actually watched the Steeler game on Sunday, so no activity on Sunday this week. So that's pretty much all I have.
I guess the field goal kicker earned his pay, didn't he? Thank you, both gentlemen. I'll just add that a couple other things over and above what Chris and Dan spoke of. We were privileged last Thursday, Mr. Kennedy and I were able to attend a ceremony that was at the Newcastle Police Department. Our Lieutenant Governor, Austin Davis, brought a grant to the police department, and we appreciate the city inviting us to be there. And then also last Thursday, all three of us attended the Forward Lawrence annual dinner up at the cathedral. It was a very, very nice event. And again, want to express our appreciation to Mr. Kennedy for serving on their board of directors. We've noted in the past that he devotes a lot of his time and effort serving on that board. And then on Friday of last week, Commissioner Sanada and I were privileged to attend the unveiling of the canal crossing history marker here in the city of Newcastle, down on South Mercer Street next to Grove Street. We commend the Lawrence County Historical Society for putting that together. Finally, I do want to note that starting tomorrow at 9 a.m., we will initiate the mandated recount of the race for United States Senate. That's taking place in all 67 counties. And Mr. Germaini plans to initiate that recount starting at 9 o'clock. And then our understanding is that he has until next Tuesday to conclude, at noon, I believe, to conclude the recount. He can do it sooner, but the deadline for conclusion of the recount is next Tuesday at noon. And then we have until Wednesday of next week at noon to actually certify the results of that recount, which we plan to do. So we hope all goes well. And I believe that's all I have at this time. We'll move on to new business. Gentlemen, the first item, and what, we want to give us a number today?
Yes.
What number would this be?
348.
348 is in our packet. It's the Lawrence County Social Services regarding the medical assistance transportation program. However, Vanessa Lovely is not able to be here today and has asked if we could table this for consideration when we reconvene in 2 weeks, assuming you gentlemen are willing to do so. So may I have a motion to table?
I'll make a motion to table.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate that. We do anticipate her being here in 2 weeks. We'll take a roll call on the table motion.
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Proposed resolution 349 is from Children and Youth Services, and Mr. Grippo is with us this morning. Mike, welcome.
Welcome.
Good to have you here. Mike, is this a contract renewal or is this a new one?
This is a new one,
Okay, I'll let you fill us in.
okay, it's Phoenix House, it's, a placement provider. The rate's $425 a day, it's in Bucks County. I didn't, here's the thing, probably at one time we were gonna use them, finally the state approved it, that's why it was so late. But we were probably gonna use them, so we went ahead and got the paperwork and decided to put the child somewhere else. But we're just gonna keep this one for a backup. It just finally got approved by the state last week.
Makes perfect sense to me, and appreciate your bringing it to our attention, and I'll see if Commissioner Kennedy has any questions for you. And he has none. How about Mr. Sonata?
No.
Okay, gentlemen, well, you've heard the proposal from Mr. Grippo. This is Resolution 349. Would one of you care to make a motion?
I move that we accept the resolution.
I'll second.
Thank you both, gentlemen. And if there are no other concerns, we can take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Mike, thank you so much.
That's the fastest you've been in and out of here.
Hey, if we don't see you, have a very nice Thanksgiving.
Oh,
Yeah,
you too. I might have one more, I may.
Okay, that's
It just
fine.
hasn't been approved by the state, but I don't know, but hopefully I won't see it till next year.
Actually, 2 weeks. We're here in 2 weeks.
Okay,
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Thanks, Mike,
All right.
very much. Next on the agenda, and bear with me a minute here, I got something out of order. I think that's my fault. Next, we have the assessment office, and that would be J.R. Hardister, our chief assessor. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Welcome. This is proposed resolution 350. And I'm glad you're here because, oh no, wait a minute, excuse me. Bear with me just a minute. Vanessa, I might need your help. On the printed agenda, it talks about the consent order with Lowe's Home Center.
Yeah.
And I also have, and maybe this is later in the meeting. There it is, number 5. So I don't believe I have this in my packet. The Lowe's. Do you gentlemen?
Yeah.
Could you please? Actually, yeah, could you please? And while you're doing that, would you prefer us to wait, Vanessa? I was gonna jump down to
You
talk.
can jump down.
Okay. Let's jump down to number 5 if we could. I don't want to assign this a number yet, but we can talk about it at least if you're so willing. And because I have a question for you, because I'm a little bit puzzled. What you're proposing here is, and again, this is number 5. It's a resolution for discussion and possible approval of an auxiliary appeal board members for the Board of Assessment Appeals.
Correct.
And the way this resolution is printed, it has the 3 current members of that board and then a 4th person, Cheryl Waters Kelleher. Did I say her last name right?
Yes.
And who was a former member at one time. So the part I'm puzzled about is, why would the 3 names of the existing members be listed as auxiliary members? Is there a reason for that?
The difference between an auxiliary member and a normal board member is an auxiliary member is only permitted to hear valuation appeals. All right, so the normal board of appeals has our weekly meetings. They make the adjustments to the tax rolls, or the exoneration, the addition. They act on alerta and abatements, and they can actually hear exemption appeals, where the auxiliary board member is strictly there for valuation appeals. So the purpose of this is so that when we have an assessment appeal hearing, we actually have a quorum, because one of our board members right now is going to be off on medical leave for not sure how long. And I want to make sure when we have valuation appeals, we have a quorum in order to have a hearing. So based off of talking with our county solicitor, he felt this is the cleanest way to have the auxiliary board members meet. Even though the 3 of them are normal board members, the auxiliary board members can meet and have hearings on valuation appeals if they are necessary.
It's all starting to make sense for me. And so, thank you, Vanessa. That's okay. Thank you again. So what we're looking at for this auxiliary board would be the 4 individuals: Mr. John McConaughey, who is from Mahoning Township; Mr. Joseph Carafino, who is from Wayne Township; Mr. Charles T. Dean, more commonly known as Tom Dean, from Wilmington Township; and Cheryl Waters Kelleher from the city of Newcastle. So you're asking us to vote on all of them.
Yes.
Okay. Let me stop there before I turn it over to my colleagues. Vanessa, we started talking about number 5.
Okay.
And I don't want to goof up your order. Is your preference that when we do number 3, that's number 350?
Correct.
Okay. And the number 5 would more than likely be 352.
Correct.
And since we're talking about 352 now, doesn't cause you a problem if we move forward on
No,
352?
That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So you've answered my questions on this auxiliary board. Let me see if Mr. Kennedy has questions. Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Sanada?
No.
Oh, okay, thank you, gentlemen. So this is number 352, and it's being presented by the assessment office, and you're recommending that we take a positive action on this.
Yes, and it's a safeguard into the future, especially during the appeal season in September and October. If one of our board members cannot make it, we can always make sure we have 3 members. Even though 2 is a quorum, sometimes when you have 2 people, one will agree, one will disagree. We want to make sure we have that deciding vote for the property owner so they get their fair time with the board. So it's always good to have an odd number of board members and an assessment appeal hearing.
Makes perfect sense to me. Well, thank you for walking me through that. I greatly appreciate it. This is proposed resolution 352. Could I have a motion for it, please?
I'll make that.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Gentlemen, thank you both. Any final questions on this one? If not, we'll take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes?
motion carries.
Thank you, Vanessa. Now we'll jump back on the agenda. It's item number 3. For our purposes, it's resolution 350. And this would be to have the county enter into a consent order for the Lowe's Home Center versus the Board of Assessment Appeals of Lawrence County, the County of Lawrence, Union Township, and the Union Area School District. So looks as though something went in front of the courts and an accord was reached.
Yes.
If you'd like to fill us in, please.
So just as normal practice, the property owner filed an appeal within the Board of Assessment Appeals. They were not happy with the board's decision, and they filed it up to the court of common pleas. At that point, the taxing bodies and the appellant both got expert witnesses, or in other words, appraisals. And the three taxing bodies, based off the expert reports, have come to an agreement of the current value of market value of 7.9 million. The current market value on that property is 9.3 million. So you're going to see a small reduction from 9.3 down to 7.9 million, which is a taxable assessment of $4.25 million. The current assessment on it is right around 4.7, 4.8 in assessed value. So it's a small reduction. The taxing body is going to consider to take this into litigation, but the cost of litigation probably would have outweighed the tax dollars that were being lost. So we felt it was time to settle this instead of fighting and spending an additional $10,000, $20,000 to fight.
Have you been able to calculate the impact on the three taxing bodies? How much of a decrease are we going to see?
I do have that. Unfortunately, I don't have it with me. I apologize. I can definitely send it on to you to add to the record if you'd like.
Yeah, I would. Obviously, the school district would have the greatest effect, the impact the greatest upon them, and then we would be second. I'm assuming the township would be third. Can you give a ballpark figure?
$500,000 reduction. You're talking. I can actually run upstairs and be down there.
Why don't you do that, and we
Yeah, because I have it on a spreadsheet. I printed it, probably sitting on the printer, and I didn't grab it.
Yeah, I'd like to know.
Yeah, okay.
And assuming my colleagues would like to know. So if you don't mind.
No.
And we'll put this on hold. We'll probably have Mr. Hoover come up, and then by then you'll be able to.
That's fine, but one thing, because you always ask me this, is as of at this point, no one else has taken official action. We have all verbals. The township is taking action on it officially on Thursday. I'm not sure about the school district, but we've already received verbal okays from their solicitors. Obviously, the township solicitor is the county solicitor, Attorney Medore. They are taking action on it on Thursday, so Attorney Medore recommends that we try to get it done today because we have a hearing, but I know sometimes you're very hesitant in acting without the other taxing bodies first agreeing.
Well, that's been my approach, but my colleagues may feel otherwise, but then give them some time to think about it while you, okay, take your, take your time. Thank you, JR. So gentlemen, could we put this on hold for just a few seconds and let's ask Mr. Hoover to come up. We're now going to go to item 4 on the agenda. This would be proposed resolution 351. And Rich Hoover is our Deputy Director of Public Safety Departments. Pleasure to have you here, Rich. Thank you for joining us. You may recall that on November 7, we did implement a countywide burning ban based on the recommendation of our Public Safety Director as well as state officials. And we've had some changes in the weather, and perhaps just as important, over the next 3 or 4 days, we are looking at some significant precipitation. So we did request the Public Safety Department to look at this and evaluate it and come back to us with a recommendation. So can you give us some details as to what you're proposing and why you're proposing?
Proposing to rescind the burning ban that was put into effect 2 weeks ago. Since then, we've had just under 1.5 inches of rain. And with the precipitation we're expecting for the remainder of the week between rain and more snow, add to that significantly. Also, the fire danger forecast for our area has come down to a low risk type of forecast for us. We've had almost zero, I think 1 or 2 brush fires since enacting the ban, so we cut down on that threat. We would still urge safe burning practices. Of course, vegetation is still dead. It could ignite by not using safe burning practices. But, you know, at this time, Director Strobel felt that it was appropriate that we could rescind all of our.
Rich, thank you for that information. And assuming we vote affirmatively, would your office then notify all appropriate entities, particularly our police and fire departments? Okay, thank you. Let me see if Commissioner Sanada has any questions.
Yeah, Rich, I appreciate you coming today. I know that, you know, Director Chad and I mean, this is, I think, so important. This was an important issue a few weeks ago.
Yes.
And I think it was something that was successful. As you say, there has been no brush fire since we implemented the ban.
One or two minor, very small.
I know we had issues before, I mean, serious issues. And I think, you know, repealing this today is a positive thing because it succeeded in what it was supposed to do. And the weather changed and we got the rain. You know, there's no need to wait till December 7th, you know, to do it, because I know some of the rural areas, they do rely on doing burning. And, you know, you hate to inconvenience them, but I think everyone was very cooperative in this. From our feedback that I see here at the county level, we had no pushback on doing it. I think everyone understood it's something that had to have been done. When you've got cooperation with fire chiefs, you know, EMS, most of the community understood this. So I think today would be a positive step, just showing that, hey, it worked. Let's, you know, put it behind us, and you know, we don't need to keep it for 30 days if it's everything turned the right direction. So I just, you know, I appreciate keeping us up to breast on this, because I know after we did it, there was a lot of communication between your office and the Commissioner's office. So I have no problem rescinding the ban today.
Thank you so much, Chris. Mr. Kennedy?
No, Chris, you're just jumping ahead, May 7th. We probably wish that was here. But we'd miss Christmas, so we don't want to do that.
No other concerns on your part? Okay.
It would have never do.
Well, you've heard the recommendation from Mr. Hoover. This is Resolution 351. Would one of you care to make a motion?
I move we rescind the burning ban.
I'll second.
Thank you, gentlemen. Any further questions or concerns? The only thing I'll just note, and just I want to underline what you said, though. Even though we're lifting the ban, you still urge that people who have a need to burn to be extremely cautious and careful.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Just by rescinding the ban doesn't mean that the chance of, you know, something, you know, coming up.
Exactly. So we
Practices.
urge caution.
They can refer to the DCNR website. You know, they have a whole burning tab and safe practices for burning.
Thank you again, and we appreciate that you'll be notifying all the appropriate parties.
Well, this real quick, this will, since we're going to do this, once we vote on it, does that mean it's officially done?
I don't,
It says the ban is no longer effective as of November 19, 2024, upon approval of this resolution.
I know we may get some phone calls this afternoon. Just, I bring this up because when I was out in North Beaver at that event, I had a couple of members of the farming community ask me that question. And my response was, call the courthouse in the afternoon on the 19th, because I didn't have a firm commitment. You know, if things went the right way, we could repeal it, but I couldn't give affirmative action on that because I didn't know what you were going to tell us today. So,
Commissioners, I had Jason review this resolution and he was good with it, so I would say it's effective upon your approval.
Yeah, that's how I interpret it.
thank you.
Thank you. We do have a motion. Anything else, Dan?
No.
Okay. We do have a motion on the floor. It's been seconded for Resolution 351. May I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Rich, thank you very much.
all right, thank you.
Appreciate your coming down.
Thank you very much. I'll see you have a happy holiday.
Wish you the same, sir. We'll go back to where we were discussing with Mr. Hardister, proposed resolution 350, which is the tax appeal of Lowe's Home Center in Union Township. And we had asked Mr. Hardister if he could advise us as to what the impact would be on the three taxing bodies, if you were able to find that information.
Yes. So the current assessment, as I stated, was to be exact, at $4,942,300. Settlement assessment per the proposed resolution is $4,250,000. So just shy of a $700,000 reduction in assessment. Total tax loss for all three taxing bodies would be $21,571. County portion is $5,752.32.
Again, the school districts would be higher and the townships would be lower than the counties,
Correct. I can get those if you want.
if you don't mind.
Yeah, the township would be $4,043 and the school district would be $11,776.
Thank you. And you did note that it's your understanding that the Union Township Supervisors plan to consider this on their meeting on Thursday. You're not sure as far as when the school district might be looking at it.
Correct. I asked Solicitor Maduro before the meeting and he was not sure, but he did say that Blue Parada, their solicitor, did give a verbal that they will be acting on it. It's just some time of an essence because we have a hearing scheduled in December and we don't want the appellant attorney to start thinking we are having second thoughts and the judge scheduled the hearing. So that's why the solicitor feels it was kind of an essence.
Let me see if Mr. Kennedy has questions.
Nothing.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Sanada.
Not really question, JR, so you're saying the county's gonna lose probably close to $5,000.
Little over 5,700, yes.
And it's pretty much been agreed to. I mean, going into litigation further would cost us substantial more money.
It could cost us substantial more money and depending on where the decision would be, we could even lose more money. We are, in our opinion, agreeing on the side that would benefit the taxpayers. Or if we go in front of a judge, we have no idea what the judge is going to decide, where it could actually end up being lower assessment, costing us more money on top of the litigation cost.
Litigation costs could be over $20,000, you said.
Now that would be split between the taxing bodies.
Right, I
The
understand.
expert would have to come in and we got a quote from the expert that can go anywhere from $8,000 to $12,000 to testify.
Just to testify before the.
Yeah, the travel, the hours and everything like that.
I think it's an interesting point. I mean, this is something that, when we do these type of things, we've got to take that into consideration. So you recommend that we would accept this?
It would be my recommendation, yes.
Okay.
Anything else, Chris?
No.
I will note that I'm not opposed to your recommendation. I respect the fact that the taxing bodies have followed this process accordingly, taking in front, or the appeal went in front of your assessment appeal board, and Lowe's was not happy with that decision, took it to court, and you've reached this agreement. In order for me, though, to be consistent in my position, which has always been, I need to know officially what the other two taxing bodies are going to do. And you've given us what I'll call an unofficial answer, which I respect. My preference would be to wait until the other two taxing bodies take formal action. That being said, though, if my two colleagues prefer to move ahead today, I will certainly respect that. And, but I'll leave it open now for a motion that anyone would wish to make, or a comment.
I want to comment. Okay, so you're telling me, JR, we're not meeting next Tuesday, but we are meeting Tuesday after that. Right? And you say the school board potentially, when would their next meeting be?
I would have to contact the solicitor, Parada, to find out. I don't know the exact date.
That may be,
And they may have already approved it, just has not had any contact with him.
I'm sort of leaning toward what Chairman Vogler is saying here, just because and they're all getting reductions, especially the school district is going to be taking the biggest hit here. I'd feel a little more comfortable knowing that the school, they actually formally said we're going to accept this. Just in retrospect, because I think that they're taking the biggest hit here. And, I'm not disagreeing with our settlement, I'm going to support the settlement. But I think hearing from the school district and the township, I think if that's been the precedent which we've had used, I would probably want to continue that precedent. I mean, unless we're in an emergency situation here. Are we in that situation?
I don't believe so. I was just asked by source from the board to put this on the agenda for today, so unless Vanessa knows anything else.
Not that I know of. Jason came in at 9 o'clock yesterday morning and asked me if we still had time to put it on, and he wanted it on. So,
That's
I
fine.
mean, unless you wanna call him upstairs, that's all he told me, so.
The other comment I will make is all three taxing bodies have to agree to this. So even if you were to approve it, the school district says no, the settlement is null and void anyhow. I know that's not been past practice for you, and I respect that, Commissioner Vogler, but that's just another thing, just in case, if you do want to approve it, one does deny it, the agreement is still null and void. But I still understand your precedent that it's been in, what, 16 years now, Dan?
20.
20.
And it's primarily been just me. I think past boards, there may have been times that they've,
I don't think we ever have.
was that right?
I don't think we ever have. I usually not even come in front of you until I knew for sure I had the okays from the other townships or the districts.
Part of my reasoning for that is the fact that, well, as we've talked about, and Mr. Sonata noted, the school district takes the largest hit. And I want to pay particular respect to the township, since it's right within their boundaries. You know, they have to live that every day. Mr. Kennedy, we've been having some conversation. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
I'm gonna make a motion to table.
You're in order. Is there a second for the motion to table?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. We'll take a roll call, please, on the table motion.
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Let me note that we meet again on December 3. And hopefully by then, the other two bodies will have acted, and then that would give us the opportunity to do likewise. I should also note, assuming my colleagues would be willing, that if this were an emergency between now and December 3, if it becomes an emergency between now and December 3, we can always convene a special meeting. Again, assuming one or both of these gentlemen are willing to do so.
I would very highly doubt it, but if something were to come up, I'll make sure either myself or Jason would be in touch with you.
And are you gentlemen open to that if
Yes.
the need arises? Okay,
Absolutely.
hope that helps you a little bit.
I completely understand the rationale, Dan, and to just take it one step further is the county being the last one, we have 56,000 parcels where we can recoup what we are losing, where a township is down to a couple thousand, school district maybe 10,000. So for us to recoup the $5,000 loss, we have a whole county to do it. So it's easier for us to do. So I completely respect and understand your positions on why you want to wait till the end. It's not as big as a hit on us as it is to these other districts, even though the dollar amount is more for a county than it is for a township.
Percentage wise.
Yep.
JR, thanks for all of that. It's very, very helpful to us. And I believe we did take the roll call, didn't we? So this resolution 350 has been tabled with the expectation that we will revisit it on December 3.
Sounds good. And I'll be back down on the 3rd.
Very good. Thanks so much, JR.
And if I hear anything that they have not approved it, I'll let you know, so then we don't need to meet again on the 3rd.
Okay, that's great. Gentlemen, any last questions for Mr. Hardister?
Thank you, JR.
Thank you very much, JR. We put you through the ringer today, so many thanks.
You're welcome.
We have some, gentlemen, thank you for your patience. We have a number of, it's this time of year when we start appointing or reappointing people to various boards. And today we're going to start with proposed resolution 353. County is responsible for appointing members to the Agricultural Land Preservation Board. One of the members is Mrs. Deborah Kennedy of Wilmington Township, and her position on the board, the term is due to expire, and we could take action today to reappoint her for a 3-year term. Let me see if Mr. Sonata has any comments.
No, I think that Mrs. Kennedy's done a good job with that, and I'd be happy to make a motion to reappoint her.
Thank you, and I'll put your motion on hold for just a second to see if Mr. Kennedy has any comments.
None.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sanada has moved for Resolution 353. Would you like for me to second it, or do you wish to second it? Okay, I'll second Mr. Sanada's motion. And if there are no other comments, we'll take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy?
I'm gonna abstain.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. You don't mind my noting that Mrs. Kennedy is your wife? Okay, thank you. But the motion does pass. Thank you, gentlemen. Proposed Resolution 354. Another member of the Ag Preservation Board is Mr. Lauren Elder, who resides in Wilmington Township. His term is due to expire at the end of the year, and this action today would reappoint him for a 3-year term. Comments, Mr. Sanada?
Same comments. I think Mr. Elder's been there a long time. Mr. Kennedy would know more than I do on that, but I know the gentleman and I think he's a fine individual and I'm sure he will continue to do a good job, so.
Thank you. Mr. Kennedy, any comments?
The only comment I got is, Mr. Elder's been on this for quite a long time, and he's a leader of this and has really taken its ag preservation probably a step further than what it was before, and has done a fantastic job. It's nice we even go out to this farm and get to eat once in a while, so we appreciate what Lauren does.
And I agree with everything you just said. So this is Resolution 354. Would someone care to make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second that motion.
Thank you, gentlemen. If there are no other concerns, we can take a roll call to reappoint Mr. Elder.
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes?
Motion carries.
Thank you, Vanessa. We have 3 individuals who are up for reappointment to the Lawrence County Planning Commission, and we're happy to note that all 3 of them have indicated a willingness to continue to serve. And all 3 of them are excellent people. The first would be proposed Resolution 355. This would reappoint Mr. Larry Lambo of Hickory Township to serve continue to serve on the Lawrence County Planning Commission. Mr. Kennedy, any comments or concerns?
No, just that Amy's got a good board here. They do a good job.
Thank you. In fact, we were just last week, we went to their meeting out in Union Township. Mr. Sanada.
Yeah, I just want to echo again, this is a very good board. I've actually known Larry Lambo for many years, and he's a quality individual. He serves as the chairman of that board, and they've done a very good job, so I have no issues. I have happily will reappoint him.
Thank you both, gentlemen. Would someone care to make a motion?
I'll make that motion to appoint Larry Lambo.
Thank you both. If there are no other concerns, we can take a roll call on Resolution 355.
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Proposed Resolution 356 would reappoint Mr. James Blundo of Neshannock Township to continue to serve as a member of the Lawrence County Planning Commission. Mr. Sanada, any concerns?
I know Mr. Blendo as well, and he's a good member, and I look forward to him to continue to serve.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Kennedy?
Good.
Okay, thank you. May I have a motion to reappoint Mr. Blundo to the Planning Commission?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you both. This is Resolution 356. Could we please have a roll call?
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. And proposed Resolution 357. This again is for the Lawrence County Planning Commission. This would reappoint Mr. Frank Tellez Jr. of Washington Township to continue to serve on the board. Mr. Kennedy, any concerns?
No, Frank's done a good job. Now that he's retired, we can spend more time with him. It's nice to see him every once in a while.
I would agree. Mr. Sanada, any
I'll
comments?
just echo Commissioner Kennedy's comments. I've known Frank probably 30 plus years, and he's such a community-minded individual. Now that he is retired, he's putting even more time into helping the community, so he's a true asset to this board. And I'd be happy to make the motion to reappoint him.
Motion is made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you both, gentlemen. We'll take a roll call.
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. The next resolution is number 358. We are required to appoint members to the Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission. 5 people from Lawrence County serve on that board, including the 3 elected county commissioners. Commissioner Kennedy actually serves on the executive committee or the executive board of that board. And 1 individual does have a term expiring here in the near future. And I'm hoping my colleagues will be willing to reappoint her. This resolution would reappoint our county planning director, Mrs. Amy McKinney. Chris, any concerns?
No, I think Amy knows her stuff. Another excellent choice, and being on the general board, I think it's a very important position. I know that Commissioner Kennedy's our lead man on the executive board, and I had the opportunity to go down there to general meetings. And, they're doing so much for the region, and Lawrence County is a very important part of that region, and we want the best there, and I think Amy does a good job, and we want to continue the progress we're making, so.
Thank you. And Mr. Kennedy, any thoughts?
Just that she's highly thought of on that board. She's been there for many years. And she does a good job, so happy to reappoint her.
Very good. Gentlemen, would one of you care to make a motion for Resolution 358?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you both. Again, this will reappoint Mrs. Amy McKinney as one of the county's representatives to the Southwest Pennsylvania Commission. The other member who's in the middle of his term is Mr. Berlin. Brad Berlin?
Yes.
Yes, he serves as a public representative as well. This is Resolution 358. May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy.
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. The next 2 resolutions are for reappointments to the Lawrence County Housing Authority. Since it's an authority, we are governed by an ordinance that requires us to have announced these openings at 2 public meetings, which we did. I'll note that the 2 incumbent members have expressed a desire to be reappointed. We did receive, I believe, 2 other letters of interest, which we appreciate, but I believe our thought is that the individuals who are serving have done a good job and are deserving of reappointment. We'll keep the other letters of interest on file for the possibility of any future openings. The first resolution is number 359. This resolution would reappoint Attorney Leanne Felina of Union Township to continue to serve as a member of the Housing Authority Board of Directors. And I do want to note one other thing, and we've said this before, but I think it's worth repeating. Federal law requires that the county commissioners appoint the members of that board. And that's where our role starts and stops. A lot of people think that the Housing Authority is a county agency because it's called the Lawrence County Housing Authority. It's not. It's a separate entity. None of the folks who work there are county employees. The county does not allocate any dollars to this organization. One thing we're required to do is to appoint the 5 members, and that's what we're doing today with respect to Attorney Felina. Mr. Kennedy, any concerns? Thank you. Mr. Sanada?
No.
Thank you. May I have a motion for Resolution 359?
I'll move we appoint Leanne Felina back to the authority.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you both, gentlemen. If there are no other concerns, we can take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy.
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler.
Yes?
Motion carries.
Thank you, Vanessa. Proposed Resolution 360, once again, this is with the Housing Authority. And it's been a tradition of county commissioners. It's not a requirement, but it's been a tradition that we've tried to always have one of the board members be from the borough of Elwood City. Reason being that the borough does have a couple of Housing Authority facilities within their borders. And currently the borough manager of Elwood City, Mr. Kevin Swager, has been serving on the board. And he did get back to you, right, Vanessa?
did,
Okay,
yes.
he responded affirmatively.
Yes, in an email.
Oh, great, thank you. So he does wish to be reappointed. Proposed Resolution 360 would do that. Mr. Sanada, any comments? Okay, thank you, Mr. Kennedy.
None.
Okay, thank you. So this is Resolution 360, which would reappoint Mr. Kevin Swager of the Borough of Elwood City back on the Lawrence County Housing Authority Board. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make that.
I'll second.
Thank you both, gentlemen. If there are no other concerns, we'll take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. The next two proposals deal with the Lawrence County Conservation District Board of Directors. The process, the state law stipulates that one county commissioner serve on the Conservation Board, and that's applicable to every county in the Commonwealth. I've been serving on that, in that capacity for a number of years now, and I'm certainly willing to do so for at least one more year if you gentlemen would have me. And this is proposed Resolution 361. So I'll turn it over and see what Mr. Kennedy's thoughts are.
Yes, stay on.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sanada?
Well, if it's not broke, why do we need to fix it? And I think you've done a good job with that. You keep us abreast of what's happening, so I have no issues if you continue to serve, Chairman.
Well, I'm grateful to both of you. So I've enjoyed it, and at some point, it'll come to an end, but for now, I'm happy to serve for one more year. May I have a motion for Resolution 361?
I move, we reappoint Chairman Vogler to the Conservation Board.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you both, gentlemen. We'll take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler.
I will abstain. Thank you, but the motion carries on a 2-0 vote. Thank you, gentlemen. The next resolution also applies to the Conservation District Board. This is number 362. And let me note that for, other than the commissioner position, the state law is very specific in that in order for us to appoint someone, there's a process whereby organizations must send us letters of nomination. And back on October 16, we sent information to a number of agencies and organizations throughout the county, advising them that they could send nominations to us, and I believe we did receive a few.
We received, one from Perry Township. Also from Visit Lawrence County and from our planning department.
Okay. Did all, to your knowledge, the recommendation was to reappoint Gary McConnell?
Perry Township replied to reappoint you, but Visit Lawrence County and planning responded to reappoint both of you.
Okay, thank you. Well, Gary McConnell, who resides in Washington Township, has been a member of this board for many years. He serves under the title as a farmer director. And I can tell you firsthand, he's an excellent board member. He takes his role very seriously, and he brings a lot to the table. So I hope my colleagues would be willing to reappoint him. Let me see if Mr. Sanada has any comments.
No.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Kennedy?
None.
Okay, thank you. Would one of you care to make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you both. This was number 362. It would reappoint Gary McConnell of Washington Township to continue to serve on the Conservation Board of Directors. May I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. The next resolution, number 363, this is a budget amendment that is necessitated by some unanticipated revenue. We didn't budget for a year ago. This is $15,000 that came in probably over and above what we were expecting for the election integrity grant.
It's prior year balance carry.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And it's $15,000, as the county administrator just noted, and it will be earmarked for the voter services line item of payment to staff and polling places expense fund account. Mr. Kennedy, any questions?
No.
Okay, Mr. Sanada? No. Okay, Joe, you're recommending it?
Absolutely.
May I have a motion for Resolution 363?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you both, gentlemen, and if there are no other questions, we'll take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And a similar type of resolution, number 364, this involves the Community Development Block Grant Revenue Account, prior year balance of $89,808. And I believe the planning office is recommending that we earmark these dollars to the 2022 Union Township Rehab CDBG expense account. Is that all making sense? Okay. So gentlemen, this is the proposal in front of us with the recommendation from planning. This is resolution 364. Mr. Kennedy, any concerns? Chris, any concern? No. May I have a motion for this resolution?
I move that we accept the resolution.
I'll second.
Thank you, gentlemen. And if there are no other, if there's no other discussion, we'll ask for a roll call.
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We have a number of transfer requests. If I walk through these, stop me as I'm going through them if you have any questions, and maybe if you're willing at the end, we can take a blanket motion. The Voter Services Office is asking for a total transfer of $54,000. 14,000 of it is coming from post-election, not sure what PRO would mean. I'm drawing a blank on what PRO would be. Post-election processing? Because you notice on the right side, it says processing of voter apps. I'm gonna guess it's processing. Okay. If anybody feels to the contrary, let me know. So 14,000 is coming from post-election processing, we believe, into the processing of voter application line item, and then $40,000 from the contingency into that of the payment of staff and polling place. That's a $54,000 total transfer request. The treasurer's office is asking for a $4,000 transfer from their contingency into their postage line item. No fault of theirs. The USPS raised the rates mid-year, which we were not expecting. The Prothonotari's office is asking for a $700 transfer from their travel line item into their advertising line item. Also, the Prothonotari's office is asking for an $18,500 transfer from their records management contingency account into records management, maintenance, and repair line item. The jail is asking the following, from contracted medical, $20,000 into salaries of staff, from contracted medical, $5,000 into FICA expense, as well as $3,000 from their training line item into their FICA expense line item. And those are the transfer requests. Dan, any questions about any of them? Thank you. Chris, anything? No. Would one of you care to make a motion then to approve the requests?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you both, gentlemen. We'll take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes?
Motion carries.
Thank you, Vanessa. A few announcements. The commissioners will meet once again in 2 weeks. Tuesday, December 3, open to the public in this room. The reason we're not meeting next Tuesday is this, it coincides with the fall conference of the State County Commissioners Association that's held in Dauphin County. Both Mr. Sonata and I intend to attend that conference. Mr. Kennedy is going to keep the home fires burning for us, but since we won't be able to have a quorum, we're going to forego next Tuesday's commissioners meeting. And we do that every year, quite frankly. Tomorrow was supposed to be the prison board monthly meeting, but we've been advised that that meeting has been canceled. Debbie, that's one less thing you have to worry about. I bet you're glad of that. We know how busy you've been.
Still trying to breathe anyway.
And as I noted, we're not meeting next Tuesday as a Board of Commissioners. The courthouse will be closed on Thursday, November 28 and Friday, November 29 in observance of the Thanksgiving holiday. And we made this announcement a week ago, but we have to do it twice. There is an opening on the Lawrence County Industrial Development Authority Board. And anyone interested in applying should send us an email or well, they could come to one of our meetings, but since we're not meeting for 2 weeks, we would suggest you correspond with us if you're interested in serving. Those are the announcements that I'm aware of. I will reiterate that beginning tomorrow at 9 o'clock, the recount for the U.S. Senate race will commence, and as it is doing so in all 67 counties throughout the Commonwealth. I'm going to open it up for public comment if anybody has a comment at this time. Debbie, anything you need from us? I'll have my packet for you. We thank you all for attending. Final closing comments from my colleagues. Mr. Kennedy, anything?
No.
Okay, thank you, sir. And Mr. Sanada?
Just briefly, we appointed all those boards today. We appointed mostly everyone on those boards. I'd just like to comment that all those people that we appointed are very good members. They show up at the meetings and they do it. None of them get paid. So we do appreciate their time and effort they put into serving on these boards. And I think it's something that's so important because I know we've had this conversation that when we appoint board members, we take that very seriously. We want to make sure we have board members who are going to participate and show up for the meetings and be there to serve it. All those names that came up today were all very good board members, and that's why they were reappointed, because it's not an automatic, and I'm just pleased because when I saw the names and I said, I know probably 90% of those people, and throughout the course of this year, through the first year here and attending those meetings, to see them there in action and they know what they're doing, and I just think that needs to be brought out just because sometimes we take that for granted. Especially if you don't go to the meetings, they just go do what they're supposed to do. And, I'm just impressed, like I said, with redevelopment. We were there last week at the farm preservation. I've been to most of those meetings, those people we appointed. So I've seen them in action, and I just think it's important that we just give all the shout out to thank them for their service. So.
Point is very well made. Thank you. We always ask Vanessa or Joe if there's any loose ends we need to tie up. Anything, Joe? Or Vanessa? Anything?
No.
Okay, thank you. Well, we appreciate everybody being here today. Sorry it took us quite a long time, but we did have a lot of ground to cover. Since we won't be meeting until after Thanksgiving, we wish all of you a very enjoyable and relaxing Thanksgiving holiday, and I hope it's a safe holiday for all of you. And that all being said, could I please have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye, oppose the same sign. Motion carries. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Feeling okay today?
Yep.
That's good.